Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Global Women in Security Alliance 2020, the virtual series. My next guest, Ms. Victoria Ogbuehi. She's the Senior Risk and Resilience Manager for Coca-Cola HBC. She's also the ASI's Professional Standards Board member. Ms. Victoria, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Chuck. It's so wonderful to hear from you today after a long while. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. We spoke in Chicago last, and you were speaking on behalf of the Young Professionals Board. And today we're going to speak about something that's really super important. And you would think we wouldn't need to speak about this in the year 2020, but we do. And it's breaking the barriers of career advancement. Now, you've shown quite a lot of passion about young professionals in the industry. Do you have a distinct message for the female folks in the industry?
Yes, sure, I do. Today is just about the women. That's what the function is all about. So I don't want to talk about the young professionals. I may just say one or two things about them in the course of this interaction, but the emphasis today is just on women, regardless of their age and their levels in their individual careers. So you know that everybody, whether you are a man or a woman, wants to get to the peak of their careers. So women are not different. In fact, women tend to be more ambitious. We want to start and we want to end well at the peak, and we also want to leave indelible legacies so that when we are no longer there, we are remembered for the great things we have done. However, there are a lot of challenges, there are a lot of struggles on our way to achieving these whole objectives. I've identified a couple of gaps here and there that needs to be bridged if all of these objectives must be achieved.
Well, let's talk about those gaps. Identify some of those things for me and tell us where the struggle is focused.
Yeah, one of them is the fact that in the 21st century, I don't know how old the human race is, but I know that we've come such a long way and that men and women started at the same time in this race. And so it's surprising to me that even up till today, we continue to talk about and hear phrases like she is the first woman astronaut, she is the first American woman to go to the moon, she is the first woman to become a professor of electrical engineering, and those kind of phrases, they baffle me. Those are not the kind of things I want to hear at this time and age, but we'll continue to hear this kind of things. So what that means for me is that women, the implication is that women are seen as though they are unintelligent, slow, witty, or brainless, something like that, when it's taking a woman a century or even meganum to accomplish what millions of men have been accomplishing and even got tired of accomplishing. For men, it's not even a big deal. But for women, we continue to celebrate this kind of singular achievement in this age and time. We know that in some locations in Asia, in Africa, and even Latin America, that women continue to take up more family responsibilities. Despite all of this, they still have the strength to perform even for their employers, meeting their individual employers' obligations at work, making women not just beautiful people, but for me, the most resilient gender. So if women have all these attributes, why do they keep struggling? So that's the issue.
Well, those are good points. Let's talk about role models. What are your views on female role models in our industry, or maybe just in general in the public?
Now, before I even talk about role model, I want to talk about some of those challenges. For instance, jobs. We have issues where we have seen it's very glaring, but I just want to call them out, that women naturally do not support women. Women do not want to identify with women. Women do not want to celebrate women. Now, I'm not talking about role modeling. I want to talk about mentorship. But we have seen that role modeling is taking up more space than mentorship, where we see so many people in different locations look up to people that are in farther away locations from where they are. Okay, for instance, you can have somebody in, let me say in the US, for example, is looking up to the First Lady of Nigeria as a role model. And so the person is in the US and the person is saying, Aisha Buhari is my role model, for example. Now, Aisha Buhari is a woman you have never met before, you have never spoken to before, you don't even have her contact. There's no way your direct interaction with her had shaped your life or your being, or you say she's your role model. She doesn't even know you exist. And so what that role modelship does for me, as far as I'm concerned, is that it succeeds in taking away your life, because now you are trying to conform to Aisha Buhari's pattern. You want to live like her, you want to dress like her, you want to speak like her, you even aspire to go to the places she has gone to. Now you have left your own life and you want to live someone else's life. And so what that does is that people see you and people say, oh my gosh, she behaves like Aisha Buhari and she talks like Aisha Buhari and all of that. So the role modeling thing does not work for me. It's not the most appropriate thing for me. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with that, but women should focus more on mentoring up and coming women to get to where they are supposed to get to. We have had issues which is a major problem for me, women have continued to push this blame of not achieving their career goals to the men folks. As far as I'm concerned, women are not supposed to blame men for their misfortune, because men are not responsible for their misfortune. Even the few women that are being celebrated today are being celebrated by men. So what the heck do you want the men to do for you? So they blame the men, they blame the society, they blame other factors in the society, except themselves for problems that they have created for themselves and refuse to resolve for themselves. And that is why today you continue to hear so many perspectives on feminism. I think that's why many people today are beginning to tilt towards that direction, feminism.
You make an excellent distinction between a role model and mentorship. And I think those two things are interchanged a lot of times, but they're really not the same thing. Speak to me about mentorship and how that's different from role modeling, and how that really is a good model to follow.
Yeah, mentorship basically is you having to be able to reach out to somebody, right? You could reach out directly or you could reach out through a third party to say, oh, I like what you're doing. I look forward to meeting up with you. Please, can you support me with a project I have in mind to do? I see that you've done this project before. I want to venture into something like this, but I need guidance. I need you to mentor me through this process. And now there's a mentor-mentee relationship. So what the mentor does is to check up on the mentee from time to time, send out some advice on how to accomplish a couple of things, and follow the mentee up until whatever he or she has in mind to accomplish comes to light. So you are there, you made a direct impact, and you can even take glory for that impact. And so that when in the future she's talking about that accomplishment, she makes reference to how you gave her support, how you supported her to accomplish that. So that is the major difference. The mentor knows the mentee directly, and the mentee can relate to the mentor, unlike the role modelship analysis I made.
Let's talk about some of the barriers specifically. Tell me what are some of the barriers that must be broken for this to move forward.
I don't know how many women can beat their chest today and say, Victoria actually got to where she is today because I supported her. That's the major problem. I have said before now that the problem with women is not the men. The problem with women is not the society. So the barrier that has to be broken is a simple knowledge of the truth. And the truth is that we have created problems for ourselves that we need to resolve. That is the main barrier that has to be broken. And so if you love yourself, you want to solve your problem, you begin to mobilize support to solve your problem. And until men begin to see us trying to address this issue, they will come up on board to help us solve it. But until then, we will continue to revolve within the same circle.
How does feminism play a role in all this? That's such a broadly defined word. It means so many different things to so many different people. How would you define it in the context of moving women forward in the industry?
Now, the problem, Chucks, is that I don't even know what feminism is all about. I have tried a couple of times to understand this concept. The more I try to study to understand what feminism is all about, the more I get confused. The more I get confused. So, but I just want to say that there's no need to continue to create some women group here and there, women organizations here and there, because we live in a world that is fast paced. Things are evolving very fast. and people do not have time. At this time, time has become of the essence. So if I have to belong to an organization or a society of women, I should be able to get value for my time. If I am not getting value for my time, then there is no need being there. We have a lot of women organizations out there, but the fact is that the impact is not being felt. So as per feminism, I really do not know what it's all about, so I can't talk about it. Thank you.
Okay, fair enough. What are your final remarks uh, on the best way to break these barriers that you've identified? So we have identified some barriers that I wasn't even thinking about. What is the best way to break through them? I think this is the secret sauce.
Okay. Now, so in my final statement, I just want to leave some words of advice to three categories of people: the young female professionals, regardless of the industry where they belong, the established female professionals, and corporate bodies and businesses. So let me start with the young female professionals. I just want to urge you not to be ashamed to reach out. You are the one that have a problem, you are the one that have a need that need to be resolved. Don't assume that people will see you and know what your challenges are. Please try to reach out. And if you reached out to Miss A and Miss A snubs you or never gives you a feedback, don't assume that Miss B will treat you likewise. Please continue to stretch until you get to where you want to get to. That's my advice to the young female professionals. And for the established professionals, I want to start by saying some of the things I picked from one of the um, conferences that Michelle Obama attended, and she made a presentation. I can't remember what that conference was all about. I picked the fact that she emphasized that women do not support women, and she encouraged women to be more supportive of each other. And she even stated that we can all win together. We shouldn't see another person's failure as our success. So that is very important, for the established women. Let there not be animosity, strife, or anything like that. We don't need all of that. If we really need to grow, we do not need all of that. The heartbreaking thing for me right now is that last week I read a publication by the UN Women, and the publication says that it's going to take 99 and a half years for the world to achieve gender equality. That is such a long time. And it's sad news for me because I'm not going to be around in the next 99 and a half years. Jobs, you won't even be around at that time. I want to be around when all of these barriers will be broken. We'll get to a stage where we'll say women are getting what they deserve for all of their hard work. And so that is a very bad report that we need to work against. So if we begin to come together now with the intention of being result oriented, we could achieve this even before the next 2 decades. Let's say before the next 20 years. It might not be on an exact equilibrium, but we could look at something like 65% men and let's say 65%. Is it 65? 35, right? 100, yeah, something like that, but not 5% women global leaders to 95% of men. And to corporate organizations and businesses, I want to urge them to make diversity, equity, and inclusion a deliberate part of their policy document. Studies have shown that all high-performing businesses world over are those businesses that have paid specific attention to diversity and inclusion. So what that means is that they are more diverse in terms of gender balancing. I read a Deloitte report of 2017 that says the company made 80% increase on business performance because in that particular year, they paid more attention to diversity and inclusion. There's an Intel report also that says that when two companies are identical as per diversity, that the more diverse company tend to make more profit. And there's another report by the Women 2.0 that says that all companies and businesses that are led by women world over have seen to make improved returns on investment up to 35% more than those that are controlled by their male counterparts. So with all of these facts on ground, I don't understand why companies will be hesitant, in considering women for leadership position. There's even something I want to talk about, the female. So when you are there in the round table, you are there, you have the voice to speak, and you can make influential decisions. And you are just the only woman in a team of 19 men. What stops you from making a case for another woman that is qualified out there to join your team? There's no need coming out to say, I am the only woman on this particular team. For me, it's not an achievement, it's not a big deal. I want what the big deal should be is that you tell us how many more women joined you the moment you got to that place. And finally, I want to just say that it's high time we begin to appraise women based on the number of other women they've been able to coach. Yes. So when you say you are an influencer or you are a female leader, we need to see your followers behind you. We need to see them, and we need to have them attest to the fact that you have really been very supportive. So let that be a yardstick for accessing performance. Thank you so much, James.
Victoria Ogbuehi, she's the Senior Risk and Resilience Manager for Coca-Cola HBC. Victoria, I have to say, this is one of the most enlightening interviews I've done of all my interviews. Really very, very interesting things to think about. And I wish you luck. You are going far, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on the Global Women's Security Alliance 2020.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate that. Thank you.